guys, Mark 4 Motor here again. We're going to go ahead and go through a little pre-prep planning into my air ride system, which we just kind of talked about. What I'm going to do is just kind of show you what I plan to take out in the order, maybe even do some tear down right now. I do have some things to get to later today, but so we might not get to all of it, but it kind of give you an idea of where to start as far as the pre-prep work for your air ride setup. Now, hopefully you've already planned ahead kind of what you want to do with your trunk setup. At least got an idea in your mind of whether or not you want to do something fancy or do a simple setup if you want it hidden. Either way, I recommend probably taking all of your trunk liner out. It's going to make the install a lot easier. It's going to make running wires a lot easier, and it's going to make the whole process a lot simpler. So you're going to want to get in there and pull everything out so you can run your air lines and everything through the grommets that you need to expose underneath all the carpeting and the trim. So we're going to go ahead and jump on over to the Jetta over here and get started on showing you how to pull out some of this trim, where you need to pull things out from, and go from there. So let's get to it. Alright, so first things first, you're going to want to get into the car, and what you're going to want to tear out, depending on where you want to run all your wires and stuff, you can either do them in the center console, which, to be honest with you, involves a lot of work. You're going to have to tear out your entire car just to get to that center console out. If you got the time, go for it. If that's where you want everything hidden, go for it. I myself am going to run everything down here in this floorboard area where I have all my wires for my subwoofer and everything else set up. So I'm going to run everything through there and then up underneath the dash and into the engine compartment. So first step is going to be taking apart. So anyway, you're going to want to get up in here, and there are some panels you're going to want to take apart. You're going to want to get in here and pull this panel out right here. You're going to want to pull all this trim out here, this side panel out here, and you're going to want to pull everything out from underneath the dash in order to start getting access to everything underneath all this trim. So as you can see, there's kind of layers. This obviously has to come out first, but before this can come out, this has to come out, and then before that comes out, this has to come out, and so forth. So kind of take it apart in layers and make sure you save all your screws and your clips that you may lose. Once all that's out, then you can kind of come down the trim line and you can come over to here. This B-pillar panel will come out. And then once that B-pillar panel is out, you can take out this panel, and then this panel here, this panel here. So this panel has to come out here, and then the final floor panel can come out. As well as the back seat, the cushions, and the backings you're going to want to take out. So it is going to take some time to do all this removal and prep work. But once you get all that apart, it's going to be easier to run all these wires and stuff you're going to have to run for your control unit and everything like that. So then we're going to roll around to the trunk here. Okay, so my trunk is full of stuff. I obviously, first things first, take all your garbage out of your trunk. I've got boxes because we're planning a move soon. I got a camera bag that I no longer use that needs to come out. Subwoofer and amp need to come out. And then you're going to want to remove all this trim here. And you're going to want to remove all this liner and of course the floorboard. So before I even get into that, we'll do a separate video just probably tearing this stuff apart. It's going to take some time. It's definitely going to be a project. So that's what I'm saying when it comes back to talking about time and the time and energy to do this. If you want to do a crazy trunk setup, if you don't have the time, throw it in the trunk and just set it all up, and then come back later and redo it when you have more time to take everything apart. But if you have time to do it now, might as well do it while you're all in one step. Also, if you do run a subwoofer like me, you might want to plan on where you're going to put that. Obviously this takes up a good chunk of my space, and that's just a 10-inch. So if you're running anything like 212s or something like that, You may want to rethink your audio setup because you may or may not be able to even put them in your trunk with the air ride. I imagine the tank and stuff like that is going to take up probably a good 1.5 feet from the back of the seat sticking out. Now there's other ways of people doing it. I've seen them mount it up top over here to hang your tank. There's all kinds of stuff. Like I mentioned in the previous video, go ahead and Google search all that stuff, and then you're going to learn kind of what you can and can't do with the trunk. I mean, pretty much it's all on design skills and how far you're willing to take it. So there's the first step. Go ahead and start tearing out all this trim panels and everything on the interior to gain access to everything. You also want to make room under your hood. Go around front here. So here we are under the hood of the car, and down here you can kind of see underneath in that area, in that fuse box panel, is where you're going to want to run your wires. I already have my subwoofer cable kind of connected right here and runs up underneath there. So I'm going to use that as kind of a guide on where to run my power source for my air compressor and my control unit. So there's the start of that. We'll go ahead and we'll do some pulling out some trim and kind of show you the process in that. So anyway, we'll keep updating the videos as we go along in this air ride. It's probably going to take me at least a week or two to do this. So if you want to keep following along, feel free to hit the subscribe button. Again, thanks for watching. This is MK4 Modder. Keep on modding.